Hey YouTube, it's Eric. Good morning. This is going to be a fairly quick video. I'm just going to be highlighting a community post I made a few days ago. And shout out to Zach Hubbard of Gematria Effect News. I saw that he reposted this and a few others shared this post, which was nice to see. But this was, I found this quote on from Jesuit educated Tom Clancy's book, Red Rabbit. And it was from his fictional character, Jack Ryan, who has essentially been kind of immortalized in Jesuit Hollywood. And again, it is Jesuit Hollywood. I'm going to go to this later in the video, but I have the autobiography here of the Jesuit priest who wrote the Hollywood production code. I'm going to show you. You guys can read it. I have a digital copy on my website. You see here the autobiography of Daniel A. Lord, S.J., Society of Jesus, played by ear. This is the Jesuit who wrote the Hollywood production code. And he goes into this in this chapter of the book. A lot of the book is just Jesuitical nonsense. He's just talking about the gaslighting about the Catholic Church. He's writing letters to younger Jesuits coming up. But this chapter here, to a member of the IFCA Board of Review, this is all about Daniel Lord's authorship of the Hollywood production code. And I'll show you some quotes from that book later on in this video. But this post, it was nice to see that this post got got out there, 385 likes. That's great to see that this information is being received. But this was the quote here. And I'll read the direct quote from the book so you get more context. But Jack Ryan, the fictional character of the Tom Clancy series, and there's been 6 movies on Jack Ryan now. He's been played by Alec Baldwin, Harrison Ford, Chris Pine. I recently watched the Chris Pine Jesuit theater movie. It was Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit in 2014. An absolutely ridiculous storyline about how the Russians are trying to hack Wall Street. Actually, I have the book right here, National Suicide, Military Aid to the Soviet Union, Anthony Sutton. I also have it on my archive.org account, Wall Street and the Bolshevik Revolution, when in reality it was the Jesuits through Wall Street that financed Soviet Russia. So it's Jesuitical gaslighting. They're saying Russia is trying to take down Wall Street in a terrorist plot. And it was pretty entertaining just for how Soviet it was. But so this is the quote from Jack Ryan. This came from the Tom Clancy book, Red Rabbit, 2002. He says, Jack Ryan, the character says, "Yeah, well, us Jesuit products run the world. We're just humble about it." End quote. Right there. That's telling you really everything about how, the world is operated today. And that's why the Jesuits aren't brought up at all in any of MSNBC, Fox, because all of those pundits on these mainstream media channels are Catholics, all of them. Jesuit trained Chris Matthews on MSNBC went to Holy Cross. Roman Catholic Lawrence O'Donnell, Roman Catholic Laura Ingham, Roman Catholic Brett Baer, who's on the board of directors at the John Carroll Society, Jesuit John Carroll Society. Brett Baer at Fox. They have a monopoly over the media, so that's why the Jesuits humbly remain in the shadows, as they're not brought up at all in the public realm. But yeah, so here's the context of the book. Here's the quote. And this came from Tom Clancy's book, Red Rabbit. In the context of this, the fictional character Jack Ryan is having a conversation with this guy Dan Murray, who is the FBI legal attach at the U.S. Embassy in London. So your Red Rabbit character list. This is the guy who Jack Ryan is talking to in this quote. You see Dan Murray, FBI legal attach. Here's Jesuit educated Tom Clancy saying, "The guys down the hall" was Dan's way of saying CIA people, or Catholics in Action, their company of Ignatian assassins. Yet again, Jack Ryan wondered just which branch of the government Murray actually belonged to, the Pope's FBI. Actually, I got a book here. Give me a second. This is on myarchive.org. page in Johnny Cerrucci's archive.org page. FBI in the Catholic Church, 1935 to 1962. It goes back farther. It was Roman Catholic Charles Joseph Bonaparte who viewed non-Catholics as heretics, who founded the Bureau of Investigation, which became the FBI, and he was a direct descendant of Napoleon. But if you read this book here, again, the FBI in the Catholic Church, you see that it is the Pope's FBI. No exaggeration. You see here, yet again, Jack wondered just which branch of the government Dan Murray actually belonged to, but everything about him said cop to one who knew what to look for. Was this some elaborate kind of disguise too? No, not possible. Dan had been the personal troubleshooter for Emil Jacobs, who I think Jesuit trained Tom Clancy was making a tribute for J. Edgar Hoover, the longtime FBI director who was of course received the Jesuit Sword of Ignatius Loyola a year after the Jesuits murdered John F. Kennedy. And J. Edgar Hoover had about 25 honorary degrees from Catholic schools, but 25. Master Mason, of course. But yeah, so I think this Emil Jacobs character is just like a play on Herbert Hoover, or J. Edgar Hoover, I apologize. You see, Dan had been the personal troubleshooter for Emil Jacobs, the quiet, confident FBI director, and that was far too elaborate for a government cover. Besides, Murray didn't run agents in London, did he? Did he? And then Jesuit-trained Tom Clancy continues, nothing was ever what it seemed to be. Ryan hated that aspect of his CIA job, but he had to admit that it kept his mind fully awake, even drinking a beer in his backyard. So I'm just giving you some context into like this quote here from Ryan. So this is back to Murray here, Dan Murray. Well, nice to hear, I suppose. And he's referring to another character, Sir Basil Charleston, which I'll show you another quote here later in this video. Basil's hard to impress, my boy, but he and Judge Moore like each other. Jim Greer, too. Basil just plain loves his analytical ability. And then Jack Ryan continues, he's pretty smart, Ryan agreed. And then Ryan continues, I've heard a lot from him. And then this is back to Dan Murray. He's making you one of his stars. And then Ryan says, really? It didn't always seem that. And then Tom Clancy says, didn't always seem that way to Ryan. And then back to Dan Murray. This is where it gets interesting. Dan Murray says, haven't you noticed how quick he's moving you up? This is talking about Sir Basil Charleston. Like you were a professor from Harvard or something, fella. And then Dan Murray continues, Boston College, Georgetown, remember? These are Jesuit schools. And then here's Jack Ryan. Yeah, well, us Jesuit products run the world. We're just humble about it. They don't teach humble at Harvard, end quote. I would say Harvard wasn't very humble when they invited the pedophile priest, Cardinal Pell, to give leadership advice to their Harvard business graduates. An outrage. But you see here, Tom Clancy continues, for sure they don't encourage their graduates to do as anything as plebeian or plebeian. Look, he's using a Roman term, plebeian, as police work. And as if police work is plebeian. It's Praetorian. You know, Tom Clancy is a Jesuitical gaslighter. But you see, so there's that quote there. So you see it right there from Jack Ryan. Yeah, well, us Jesuit products run the world. We're just humble about it. They don't teach humble at Harvard. And again, there's an article from, because there's a new Jesuit TV show about Jack Ryan on Amazon. And that's, you see here, one of Jesuit Boston College's most storied alumni, John Patrick Ryan Sr. Whoa, Jack Ryan, whose resume includes stints as Marine Corps officer, stockbroker, national security advisor, Naval Academy faculty member, CIA analyst, and president and vice president of the United States. Jack Ryan returns to the screen as the title hero of the new series, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, end quote, which premieres on Amazon Prime, August 31st. So you got Jack Ryan wearing his Jesuit Boston College rowing shirt. Tom Clancy attended Loyola High School in Maryland before attending Jesuit Boston College. Tom Clancy graduated from Jesuit Boston College and then graduated from Loyola University, Maryland. So he was actually triple Jesuit educated. You see, Tom Clancy is believed to have based the world-famous BC graduate Jack Ryan on a high school friend who attended Boston College and became a U.S. Navy helicopter pilot in Vietnam. The character Clancy created was proud of his Jesuit education, once remarking that, as I showed you the quote from his book Red Rabbit, "Jesuit products run the world, we're just humble about it." Here's Jesuit Boston College's Twitter account. BC grad Jack Ryan is back. And he's played by John Krasinski, who was one of the stars of the Jesuit TV show The Office, which ran for 201 episodes. And then you had this recent Event 201, which was an honor to, Catherine the Great rescuing 201 Jesuits when the Jesuits engineered their own suppression back in 1773. You see it right there, Boston College rowing. You see in Boston College Magazine has wrote articles about this. Jack Ryan's been played by Harrison Ford, Alec Baldwin, Ben Affleck, and you see recently John Krasinski, who's well known for his role as Jim Halpert in the show The Office. And actually, in The Office, they also put Roman Catholic and Jesuit educated fictional characters in the show. Actually, this was brought up on one of the shows I did with Zach Hubbard. You see here in The Office, right at the front desk, you can see there's a flag for the Jesuit University of Scranton. That's where The Office TV show is based. And now John Krasinski, the star of The Office, which ran for 201 episodes, is the new Jesuit Jack Ryan character. See right there, Jesuit University of Scranton flag. See, there's the seal. Yeah, I think Nick found this here. Yeah, in the show, BJ Novak, the fictional character played by the actor Ryan Howard. The fictional character the fictional character Ryan Howard, and you see he has Ryan Howard, the fictional character, has his own Wikipedia page, holds an MBA from the Jesuit University of Scranton's Kania School of Management, which he earned during the second and third seasons of the show. And according to Pam Beasley, who is the wife of John Straczynski in the show, who is now Jesuit Jack Ryan, as we see right here. You see Pam Beasley in the Jesuit theater show The Office. Her character attended Marywood University, Roman Catholic, which is also in Scranton. Marywood University, Catholic Liberal Arts University in Scranton, established in 1915 by the Sisters Servants of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Ridiculous name. Marywood currently enrolls more than 2,800 students in a variety of undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral programs. I'm pretty sure Jenna Fisher, the actress that plays Pam Beasley, was also Catholic educated as well. I think Johnny found that here. Attended by actor Sean. Interesting, because this guy Sean Gunn was educated at the Jesuit University of St. Louis and St. Louis University High School, as were all of the Gunn families. That's interesting. I think that's probably what Johnny was referring to there. But it's over the top, like all the fictional characters that they place in these TV shows. And just going back here to Jack Ryan, just to the post I did. So Tom Clancy was Jesuit trained at Loyola High School and Loyola University, Maryland, and Boston College. We see Jack Ryan, the fictional character, is also Jesuit trained and recruited into the CIA by a Jesuit priest. And look how over the top, and this is quoting from Jack Ryan's Wikipedia page. We see how over the top this Jesuit theater is. You see, quote, Ryan, the fictional character, Jack Ryan, was born in 1950 to an Irish Catholic family in Baltimore, Maryland. His father, Emmett William Ryan, was a Baltimore Police Department homicide lieutenant and World War II veteran. The elder Ryan had served with the U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division, which the Jesuits completely control, at the Battle of the Bulge in Western Europe. His mother, Catherine Burke Ryan, was a nurse. Patriot Games mentioned that Jack Ryan, had a sister who lived in Seattle. After graduating from Loyola High School, Loyola Blakefield, a Roman Catholic Jesuit prep school in Towson, Maryland, which is a fictional Jesuit high school in the fiction of the Jack Ryan saga. You see how detailed this Jesuit theater is. In suburban Baltimore County, Ryan attended Jesuit Boston College, a real school, graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics with a strong minor in history, and was a rower. He commissioned as second lieutenant in the U.S. Marine Corps. While waiting in the Corps to assign him, he passed the Certified Public Accounting exam. And then we continue. And then you see he became like an employee at a Wall Street firm here as an accountant, the Mitra Corporation. You see, following a recommendation from Father Tim O'Reilly, a Jesuit priest and professor at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., to a Central Intelligence Agency contact. Are you kidding? Oh, man, this is so over the top. Your Father Tim O'Reilly, a Jesuit priest and professor at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., following a recommendation from Father Tim O'Reilly, Jesuit priest and professor at Georgetown University, to a CIA contact, Ryan was asked to work as a consultant for the agency. In other words, Jesuit priest Father Tim O'Reilly got Jack Ryan his job at the CIA. In this fictional story, after creating a net worth of $8 million, Ryan left the firm for 4 years and enrolled at Jesuit Georgetown University for 6 doctoral courses in history. 6. He then does a brief stint at the Jesuit think tank at Georgetown, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, then accepts a position at the U.S. Naval Academy as the civilian professor of history. Like, this is over the top Jesuit theater. Over the top. And again, it's I showed you because the Jesuits wrote the Hollywood production code. Daniel Aloysius Lord, S.J. You see here that in the Wikipedia brings up the book Red Rabbit, which I was reading out of earlier. Ryan's first, and this is the plot of the book. Ryan's first CIA assignment is to London as a member of a liaison group to the British Secret Intelligence Service, and that's why that FBI guy Dan Murray was at the he was attached to the U.S. Embassy in London. Initially called in to assess the Soviet government and economy, Jesuit Jack Ryan is later tasked to assist in the defection of a KGB communications officer who had discovered that his boss, Yuri Andropov, had ordered Pope John Paul II's assassination. Like, over the top Jesuit theater. So again, the Jesuits invert reality. Like, they created that totally fake plot, the Russian connection plot to kill John Paul II in 1981. Totally fabricated it. It was actually the Roman Catholic pro-Deo priest, Father Felix Morlian, who is admitted to being a CIA agent by none other than Jesuit priest Robert Graham, S.J. It was Father Felix Morlian of pro-Deo who actually fabricated the apartment designs of the Bulgarian Andropov at the time. because they used this Bulgarian Andropov as they said, oh, he's a KGB stooge, and this was a KGB plot to assassinate the Pope. It's absolutely ridiculous. If anything, like, they did this like as a warning to John Paul II, because it was through the Grey Wolves, a CIA conduit group in Turkey, which Mohammed Adka was a member of. He had nothing to do with the KGB. I'm saying there's lots of information on how the Jesuits fabricated that KGB connection to that JP2 assassination, and they're bringing this up in the Tom Clancy books as like it's truth, so very Jesuitical to say the least. I found a copy of this book, Red Rabbit, which you can read on archive.org. But here's just another quote from the book to show this how over the top this Jesuit fiction is. And I'm just going to pull up my live chat here. How's it going? Actually, I forgot there's a Cerrucci team brief today. Yeah, actually, I'll jump in over on that. You see here, from page 28. Yeah, actually, are they live yet? Because I figured that they usually start a little after 11, and I do want to wrap up this video here. But you see more quotes from the book Red Rabbit from Tom Clancy. It says, Jack Ryan says, "Damn," Ryan observed. Quote, "This is reliable, and this is Sir Basil Charleston, who I referenced earlier. Very much so. It's a 5-5, Jack." But, and this is back to Tom Clancy. By that, he, Sir Basil Charleston, meant that the source was rated 5 on a scale of 5 for reliability, and the importance of the information reported was graded the same way. Quote, "You're Catholic, I think," says Charleston. Back to Clancy. "He knew, of course, that it was just the English way of talking." And this is back to Jack Ryan. "Jesuits at high school, Boston College, and Georgetown, plus the nuns at St. Matthew's. I better be," saying I better be Catholic, saying Jack Ryan. And this is back to the British guy, Sir Basil Charleston. It says to Jack Ryan, "What do you think of your new Pope?" And this is what Jack Ryan says. And this is referring to JP2. First, who is a best friend of Jeffrey Epstein, Jimmy Savile, and pedophile Father Marcial Maciel. Quote, "First non-Italian in 4 centuries, maybe more. That's saying something right there. When I heard the new one was Polish, I expected it to be Cardinal Wydzinski from Warsaw. Guy's got the brains of a genius and the cunning of a fox. This guy I didn't know beans about, but from what I've read since, he's a very solid citizen. Good parish priest, good administrator, politically very astute." And this part I thought was comical. Ryan paused. Back to Jesuit trained Tom Clancy. "He was discussing the head of his church as though he were a political candidate." And he was damn sure there was more substance to him than that. What gaslighting. Oh my goodness. When the Pope literally is by definition a political candidate, he's the head of his political country, the Vatican, which is a sovereign nation state. There's 180 political ambassadors known as nuncios stationed all over the world who politically report directly to the Pope as a politician. "This had to be a man of deep faith," says Jesuit trained Tom Clancy, "with the sort of core convictions that an earthquake couldn't budge or crack. He had been chosen by other such men to be the leader and spokesman for the world's largest church, which, by the way, also happened to be Ryan's church. He'd be a man who didn't fear much of anything, a man for whom a bullet was his get-out-of-jail-free card, the key to God's own presence, and he'd be a man who felt God's presence in everything he did. He was not someone you could scare, not someone you could turn away from what he deemed the right thing." So there you go. The Jesuit theater is over the top. Yeah, I'm going to head over to Johnny's channel here soon, but I recommend, this was some great comments I got here just from Tyrone Nathan. He says Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint game, which was released October 2019, the same month as Event 201 took place, made him realize that Tom Clancy had to be a Jesuit or part of some Masonic order. As he says here, the game is littered with gematria riddles, peculiar phrases, and have aerial drones that have facial recognition, just like how it is in reality. Even the title of the game is a hint of what was to come, Breakpoint, just my observation. All these Tom Clancy games, because, you know, the character as we saw was like a Jesuit, Jack Ryan. It's incredibly detailed, and there's an amazing amount of predictive programming in all these Tom Clancy games. So in the game The Division here, they bring up Presidential Directive 51 quite a bit, which the full title is, was passed by U.S. President George Bush May 4th, 2007, the same president who said he saw God in the eyes of the Pope on April 11th, 2008. National Security and Homeland Security Presidential Directive. Essentially suspends the United States Constitution completely. No exaggeration. It's been declared like unconstitutional by many lawyers because, you know, it's separate. It destroys the 3 branches of government, and like the president essentially becomes the king of America, becomes the mayor of every American city. He becomes the governor of every American state. The U.S. president would when this is invoked, and they bring this up, you know, routinely in these Tom Clancy games, and they actually get like the kids. They're mind controlling, like, because there's no way like 12-year-old kids and 13-year-old kids that are playing these games are going to know what this is. So, like, they're essentially just like mind controlling them to make it think that martial law is cool. It's cool to have militarized repression against civilians. It's cool to view regular people as enemy combatants. essentially what they're doing. Let's see here. There's some good, yeah, Directive 51, this guy brought it up here. Yeah, there's some, where is that quote here? Yeah, right here, this is the quote. So in the same game, because this game, The Division, is all about, interesting, like a virus breaking out. You see Tyler Wilson says, Division also has graffiti on some of the walls that reads, quote, virus is a hoax. And actually, I have the cinematic trailer up for the 2016 Jesuit Tom Clancy game, The Division. And you can see it's all like, this is like, as I did the video on Jesuit Tony Fauci, he said we're guaranteeing that there's going to be a pandemic. And he said this January 11th, 2017. Again, that's Jesuit Tony Sickle Fauci, SJ. This Jesuit game, Tom Clancy The Division, also predicts a mass outbreak. We'll just watch. This is only 2 minutes here.
You know, this Black Friday, you can sleep back.
Actually, after this, if I do want to head over to Johnny's channel soon, I'll pull up the article where I have a link, direct link to the 1930 Hollywood production code, Lauren. I'll show you guys how to find that.
The region, retailers are calling this their 149,000 stores offering sales in cash sales changing hands. The stores. The flu season is off its earliest start.
To be a previously unknown variant of flu suspected, catching many experts off guard.
This is all Jesuit theater. Tom Clancy, the whole Tom Clancy series is literally Jesuit theater, as I've showed in this video. So this is all predictive programming. They're bringing up the pandemic or the mass outbreak. The army rolls into Manhattan.
Is a highly rehearsed scenario.
National Guard coming in. Canceling, shutting down the borders, like all this stuff they're doing in real life, like this is all predictive programming.
Let me stop you there. This is not a panic situation.
An entire American city is
even like I saw they turned, like, even in New York, like I don't know how much it was exaggerated, but they were talking about making mass graves in New York to deal with all the COVID deaths. Like, predictive programming.
Gas line leaks, fires. The government is expecting another night of widespread looting.
People of New York are
Looting, all the looting, federal troops in the streets, all predictive programming.
First responders are either dead.
No resources available.
Look at it. Actually, look at that. You see what they just brought up there? Directive 51. I'll pause it right there.
Responders are either dead.
No resources available.
Boom, right there. Predictive programming. Actually, I think possibly Donald Trump, Jesuit-trained Donald Trump, is going to sign this because he's going to say the election is illegitimate and he's going to invoke Directive 51. And at that point, there's nothing anyone can do. You know, Barack Obama gave Donald Trump an incredible amount of executive power with some of his executive orders, like 13603. And, you know, going back like Bill Clinton, you know, there's hundreds of executive orders going back to like Roosevelt's time that Trump could invoke, where the U.S. president becomes the king, like Caesar, the Holy Roman Emperor, which the modern U.S. president is just the Holy Roman Emperor to the Pope. That's the dynamic. Oh, is it Rome equals 51? Oh, very interesting. Well, actually, that makes sense now. Now that this presidential Directive 51, I'm getting why like they call it Area 51 also. You hear federal equals 51, conspiracy 51. Oh, very interesting. Absolutely. Peter said the Jesuits perfected communism in the Paraguay reductions. Absolutely. They even admit it on their New Advent Encyclopedia article on the Paraguayan reductions that the system there was a sort of communism. Even admit it. But you see here, this is incredible predictive programming here. This is from Tom Clancy's The Game, The Division from 2016. And just, Tyler commented on my community post that there's posters in this game that says virus is a hoax. Like up on the wall.
We treat them like animals.
It's not our job. We're not trained for that.
You want to say public health emergency? Look, Center for Disease Control. Current director, Jesuit-trained Robert Redfield at Jesuit Georgetown University. CDC was founded by Jesuit-trained Joseph Walter Moonton in 1946. You see here right from the game. And then this is incredible detail for a game. You see, Center for Disease Control has declared a public health emergency effective immediately, I believe it says.
When we were activated, we knew the situation was bad. Worse than anyone knew.
Now they're making it like to the kids to make it seem like it's cool to be like a Gestapo Homeland Security thug and go around like beating the shit out of people in the streets to protect the nation, making it seem like that's a cool thing.
Elite, highly skilled group of embedded agents. They only call us when everything else has failed. We have no rules. We have no limits. Our job is to protect what remains.
We are your co-workers. We are your neighbors. We might even be your friends.
But when we get the call,
We leave everything behind.
What image are you talking about there, Zach?
we are.
The division.
Well, actually, Adam Weishaupt, of course, was brought up by Jesuits for over 7 years and was a professor in canon law. Actually, just the book you guys saw on my community page is Nicholas de Bonneville. He goes into the Illuminati a bit in that book as well. It shows how they were controlled by the Jesuits. So you see, this is this happens over and over again. And there's one more, because I do want to head over to the Cerruti team brief. I don't want to be here too long. It's another famous character, or popular character in the realm of Jesuit Hollywood, who was educated by Jesuits in the fiction, was Sterling Archer from the show Archer. And like Jack Ryan, Archer is not nearly as big as Jack Ryan, but we can see just the show is pretty big. Maybe they'll make a movie about Archer sometime soon. But you see, there was this episode, The Papal Chase, which I watched in the 4th season, which made me think that the show is all, complete Jesuit theater, because they go to the Vatican and supposedly they have to protect the Pope. Actually, right here, there's some fun. Jesuit Archer sarcastically says to Pam, "Nice job, Oliver Cromwell. The English ruler was famous for killing many Catholics." Yeah, there's all sorts of Jesuit theater in this episode. I recommend you guys watch it. But they go to the Vatican to protect the Pope from, I think, this other Cardinal Caroli. And the organization that Sterling Archer is a member of is called ISIS, International Secret Intelligence Service, which is the Vatican if there is an International Secret Intelligence Service. E. Howard Hunt, the CIA official, said the Jesuits formed the greatest intelligence service in the world. No other body or group embodies internationalism or globalism like the Jesuits. But I'll show you, Sterling Archer went to Jesuit Georgetown, and they actually kind of make it like an Easter egg, or kind of hidden. And I'll show you how they do that, but I'm just going to show you a clip of him here, if it loads, of Archer depicted as a priest.
Not me, which leaves...
There he is as a Jesuit.
Et Spiritus Sancti.
Spiritus Sancti.
You can't! No one is going to believe Archer is a priest!
I'm in! Turn it off!
Oh, Weishaupt equals Illuminati too. Oh, 51 also. Wow. May 1st through 5-1. Oh, that's great information. Well, yeah, that explains everything, why they used 51 for that presidential directive and Area 51. To me, that explains it.
Okay, Jesus! Shit.
Okay, so you see there, Archer is depicted as a priest. Actually, this fictional character was also educated by, went to Boston College, Tobias Fluke from the show Arrested Development. There's all sorts of, fictional characters that go to Jesuit schools. All sorts of them. Okay, but Archer went to Georgetown, and they actually kind of make this a secret, because I remember watching in the show that they tell you, like, Sterling Archer attended UNLV, but he dropped out because, like, he was given a swirly or something by, like, the by the lacrosse team or something like that. And you're just told he graduated from a school. You never know what school he actually graduated from, because, again, he dropped out of UNLV. But again, in season 2, again, like I remember before this show, this clip, they show his mom Pam like flipping through a yearbook, and you see Archer being baptized in a Catholic church, and like I think he's even like depicted as an altar boy. Then they show this picture of Sterling Archer's graduation, and again, they don't actually tell you in the show what school he graduates from. But you see, this is Healy Hall at Jesuit Georgetown University in the background. So you see Harvard, or you see Sterling Archer, the top secret agent at ISIS, went to Georgetown, Jesuit Georgetown. How fitting. Literally, how fitting. He's known as like the world's greatest secret agent, like in the fiction. But that's Georgetown. You see Sterling graduation, and again, like they make it like they don't directly tell you he went to Georgetown, so you'd have to know what the Georgetown campus looks like to get this reference, which 99.9% of the viewers aren't going to get. You see here the steps by the library with Healy in the background. See, that's the photo from the Archer show at Jesuit Georgetown University. So I recommend, the fiction in these shows is over the top. And actually, I even have an article I reposted on my page, Jesuit World Order. It's called Georgetown's Fictional Alumni. David Palmer, the character David Palmer from the show 24. And again, 24 was all about just making like the CIA's terror program and like making like violating civil liberties look cool. Oh yeah, go beat the shit out of the terrorists, man. It's a cool thing to do. America, America. That's basically what the show 24 is. So, but one of the presidents in the show, David Palmer, went to Jesuit Georgetown University with a BA in political economy. David Palmer also notes that he played on the basketball team and hit a buzzer beater to get Georgetown in the Final Four. You get Ben Gates, played by Nicolas Cage in the movie National Treasure, which has all sorts of like Illuminati like symbolism in it. Ben Gates, his character went to Jesuit Georgetown University. Again, he's played by Nick Cage. Zoe Bartlett, one of the stars of the show The West Wing, graduated summa cum laude from Georgetown in the fiction. This one I thought was really interesting. This in Call of Duty Black Ops, the character Jason Hudson turns out to be a double major in psychology and political science from Jesuit Georgetown. And that's really interesting because I remember I beat this game, Call of Duty Black Ops 1, and the whole game, you, the character Mason, are being like psychologically terrorized by this guy, Jason Hudson. And look at that. He has a double major in psychology and political science from Jesuit Georgetown. And then Hudson served as a member of the U.S. Army's 101st Airborne, just like Jesuit Jack Ryan, before switching over to the CIA like Jesuit Jack Ryan. And this is really interesting too. That I haven't watched this movie, but I'm gonna have to watch it for the Jesuit theater. Just because there's gonna be some over-the-top Jesuit theater in it. But St. Elmo's Fire was a 1985 American quote coming-of-age film about recent graduates of Jesuit Georgetown University. We've starred Rob Lowe, Andrew McCarthy, Demi Moore, Judd Nelson, Ali Sheedy, and Emilio Estevez. They really made a Hollywood movie about the life of Georgetown graduates. Isn't that cute? Hey, it's Jesuit Hollywood. Daniel A. Lord wrote the production code. Talking about Sterling Archer, known as the world's best secret agent, the fictional character from the show Archer, went to Jesuit Georgetown. So it's a thing like, and even like I linked the Wikipedia page, Georgetown University alumni. It's all sorts of them. Yeah, and David Palmer from the show 24. He's played by the actor Dennis Haybert. There, Olivia Pope, played by Kerry Washington in the TV show Scandal. She goes to Jesuit Georgetown. Raven Simone, the actress who played the fictional character Melanie Porter in the movie College Road Trip, American comedy film, she goes to Georgetown. Annie Walker, the main character in the TV show Covert Affairs, which is probably over the top Jesuit theater again. Annie Walker, main character, went to Jesuit Georgetown. This one I thought was really interesting. Declan Walsh, the protagonist in the 1979 novel Vicars of Christ, served as Chief Justice of the United States and later the Pope. Wouldn't surprise me if the current Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts, would become the Pope someday. That's how Roman Catholic he is. Opus Dei, Knight of Malta. His wife is the parliamentarian of the Jesuit John Carroll Society, Jane Sullivan Roberts. So you're the Vicar of Christ. Actually, it's very interesting because the Pope in this ridiculous Jesuit book, The Vicar of Christ, is called Pope Francis the First, who became the first Jesuit Pope in 2013. And the Vicar of Christ book, was written in 1979. That's very interesting right there. I'm pretty sure the Chief Justice Samuel Alito was, let me see here. Yeah, the author, and this guy went to Catholic Notre Dame, Walter F. Murray, who wrote the book, The Vicar of Christ. He was, as a professor, he was undergraduate thesis advisor for current Supreme Court Justice, Roman Catholic Samuel Alito. Would you look at that? So, the Jesuit theater is, over the top in the fiction. And I know even there was a Jesuit priest on the show MASH. Let me find that here. That's one of the most famous TV shows ever. Yeah, Reverend Francis John Patrick Falder Mulcahy, character from the film MASH in the shows. Yeah, there he is, Jesuit. Of course, you got a Jesuit as one of the main characters from the TV series MASH. It's just the Jesuits actually, the movie, and I have the video actually on my channel. You can find it through here, but the movie The Exorcist in 1973 was actually filmed at Jesuit Georgetown University. And there were Jesuit priests that were acting in the movie. So, and the guy, William Peter Blatty was the individual who wrote the Exorcist book, and he was educated at Jesuit high schools in Jesuit Georgetown. He actually said that he never felt so much at home than he did at Georgetown. Yeah, so I read, the Jesuit theater is literally over the top in the fictional realm. But yeah, I'm just gonna get I think I linked all this info here. Yeah, William Peter Blatty. He also worked as a public relation. Blatty worked as a PR director at Jesuit Loyola Marymount University. And how convenient that there's a Jesuit university in Hollywood, Jesuit Loyola Marymount. But here's one of the Jesuits who was involved in the production of the film, Thomas Valentine Birmingham II SJ, who was also Joe Paterno's personal Jesuit, who was the head coach at Penn State when the pedophile scandal there broke. You see Birmingham taught Blatty Latin at Jesuit Brooklyn Prep. And when Blatty wrote The Exorcist book in 1971, he said in the credit section of the original Exorcist book, which was turned into the movie, I would also like to thank the Reverend Thomas V. Birmingham, S.J., Vice Provincial for the formation of the New York province of the Society of Jesus, for suggesting the subject matter of this novel. There you go. All Jesuit theater. You see, and you had Jesuit fathers, John Nicola, William O'Malley, all Jesuits with Birmingham, served as technical advisors for making the Exorcist movie. In addition, Birmingham and O'Malley had minor acting roles in the film, with Birmingham portraying, quote, Tom, the president of Georgetown University, and O'Malley playing Father Dyer. Okay, so I'm telling you, when you look into the fiction, who are the fictional characters, it's very clear that the Jesuits are running the show in Hollywood. And here's the post I made where you can get a link to the production code, and you can get a digital version of this book here, the autobiography of Daniel Aloysius Lord. But if you type in Lord on my search bar on the Jesuit Matrix to show results from our Jesuit World Order, Jesuit priest, and I put illustrations into this article. Jesuit priest Daniel A. Lord S.J., and I'll link this in the description box, drafted the 1930 Hollywood Production Code. I also recommend you guys read the journal article, which I linked here, from John Hopkins, written in 1952, but it's titled The Jesuit Contribution to Theater, from their Educational Theater Journal. Here's a link to the production code. It was published March 31st, 1930. 331. But here's the book here. There's a photo. Here's a photo of the Jesuit of Hollywood, and here's a PDF version of his autobiography. And there's another book. I link a few books in this article that I recommend you read. I linked a book from this. This is a photo from the book, but you need to read this book about Joseph Ignatius Breen, who is the chairman of the Production Code Administration. Well, that loads up there. And I also linked a book in the bottom that was recently published, The Catholic Church in Hollywood, by a history professor, Alexander McGregor. And I know another book, I don't link this, but it's on my archive.org page, but there's author Sean Wilcock wrote a book called Jesuit Hollywood in 2011, which is also very good. Yeah, this is taking a while to load, but this book was called Hollywood Censor, Joseph I. Breen and the Production Code Administration, written by Thomas Doherty. Oh, there it is right there, Hollywood Censor. I recommend you check it out. Yes, that college road trip movie had Jesuit theater in it. Yeah, I think I'm going to finish up here because I do want to head over to Johnny's channel, but I'm going to link these in the description. I just wanted to, because the community post I did on Jack Ryan was so well received, I just wanted to make a video on it. And thanks again to Zach of Gematria Effect News and the others that shared this post to get it out there. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, I've heard of the National Endowment for Democracy. I know the president of the Knights of Malta, J. Peter Grace, from the Grace Chemical Company, was a big figure in the National Endowment for Democracy. Oh, there you go. Oh, Zach said Red Rabbit 79, Society of Jesus 79. There you go. And actually, the Red Rabbit actually is a nickname for Jack Ryan. Actually, and that's I found that just from downloading the book and putting it onto my archive.org page. It actually has like Jack Ryan as like a bracket in the title, but Red Rabbit Jack Ryan, I guess that's his nickname. That's great for that. It equals 79 and Jesuits equals 79. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think my computer is just getting too slow here, guys. But I'm going to wrap up the video, and I'll see you guys over on Johnny's channel. Peace and love, everyone.